protect and enhance the North Wayne, South Wayne, and Luella Court historic districts for the educational, cultural, economic, and general welfare of the public through preservation, protection, and regulation of buildings of historic interest or importance within the districts, and to safeguard elements of architectural history throughout the district which have been determined to be of historic significance. Under provisions of the historic ordinance, the Harb serves to review applications for the construction, addition, or demolition of any principal building or any additions or accessory buildings. Basically, if you're here tonight, you've met that criteria, which means that you're increasing a footprint, you're increasing a massing or an elevation, and you're within a district that is residential that holds the Harb review. We're an advisory group that makes determinations which are then reviewed by the Board of Commissioners. So this meeting is the beginning. Whatever we determine goes to the Board of Commissioners. They either agree or disagree with us, and it goes from there. And that's how it kind of works, to anybody who hasn't been here before. I'd like to start. Our first project tonight is Harb 2012-10, 421 Meadowbrook Avenue, a two-story frame addition to existing garage. Is anybody here to present? Okay. If you could come up to the podium and use the microphone, and also any materials that you'd like to show us, if you could put it on that table, it will be projected up on the screens, which are on the sides. So you can kind of look at the side screens and see where you are. And then if you want them to zoom in on something, you can ask for that, and sort of center it, and they'll zoom in. So if you could just present what you're doing, kind of talk about existing, and then talk about the proposed work, and go from there.
Be happy to.
Introduce yourselves too, please.
Hi, I'm Stephen Tate. I'm the builder. This is Mrs. Gail Dillon, the owner. And we're proposing a two-story addition onto the existing carriage house garage for her own personal residence. And it's consistent with the architecture of the existing building. We're just basically stretching it about 20 feet. This is the, right here is the front of the garage. And the addition is off to this left side. And we're going to be putting new windows in the existing building and the new addition that all match, 6 panes over 1. And we'll have vinyl certainteed cedar impression shingles on the addition to match the shingle work on the existing house. The roof pitch is the same. It's basically a 400-foot footprint. And I think it maintains the character of the property.
Would you mind putting the site plan on for everybody to see as well? And kind of talk about, point out where those things are. Thank you.
Okay. This is the existing garage.
And
this is the existing garage right here. And the proposed addition is shaded to the west, the rear of the house.
And on the lower picture, could you point out where that addition would be?
It would be right on that end, built off this end right here, coming out 20 feet.
Okay. And then you have some drawings that you could show us elevations?
Yes.
Okay.
This is the, there we go. This is the front elevation. This is the existing building here, and that's the new section right here.
Are you using the scale of the window openings in the existing?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. They're all the same size.
And is the roof line a little bit lower on the addition?
It's about 10 inches lower, but the same ground moldings and details. These plans don't show the actual siding material, but it'll be vinyl shingles.
The second story of the main house has a shingle.
Yes.
Okay. Do you know when this garage was built?
About 1933.
1933? Okay.
Is that at the same time as the house? Same?
No, house is at
Could you use-
1886.
Did you use them?
Oh, house is 1884.
Okay.
The garage is 1933.
1933, okay.
The roof material on the existing garage is asphalt?
Asphalt shingles,
And
yeah.
it's going to be,
Was this a double lot at one time?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Yes, yes, it was.
We're in the process of changing that into a single lot.
Okay, so right now it's still two lots, but you own both?
Yes, I do.
Okay. I mean, traditionally, the accessory building is always significantly smaller than the main house. So this is encroaching on getting too big for the scale of things. I don't know how anybody else feels.
I mean, you're right about that, but somehow, for me, the lot is big enough that it helps.
I mean, that's why I was
Proportionally.
asking, because the lot does contribute to that scale being something that doesn't affect so much. If it was the half lot, I would say you probably are getting too big for things, but,
Yeah, if this was a single lot, I think it'd be a different story. Of course, it's a little hard to tell, but it doesn't seem like it would be that dynamic of a change to the overall scope.
and in the existing condition, the one picture you have from the street, you barely see the existing garage. This is one of those sideways turned houses.
Yes.
So, you know, the garage is behind the thinner part of the house, but it's still back enough and close to the other sideline that you can't really see it. So this addition would make that part a little more visible, but it's still in the rear of the property, significantly deeper in the lot than anything else. Anything on the back of the addition we should know about? We don't have that shown, I don't think.
No.
No, it's just 4 windows.
So the second floor kind of mimics the first floor,
Yes.
or the front of the house.
Well, actually, the back of it.
Actually, you have two, it's like two windows
Yeah.
and a mechanical access.
Yes.
This one, yeah.
Yeah, 2 second floor windows.
Well, this is on the inventory as a colonial revival, wood shingle style, second level, and contributing. Certainly, the main house has all those qualities. The later addition has less of those qualities.
Everybody who owned that house did something different to it.
And are you doing anything else to the existing other than change windows or?
No.
Okay.
Shutters.
I don't know, I think since this is a double lot and you have that extra scale to handle this, and it's in the rear of the building, even though you're seeing some of it from the street, I don't see it as being, I don't see it as a problem, I don't think. What do you think, boss?
I agree. Again, with the spacing, I don't think it's that significant of an effect, overall effect from on the appearance. That's what we're worried about.
And one of the pictures you have, it looks like you have caution tape up. Is that indicating the footprint of the new building?
Yes.
You all see that? Have you talked to anybody about zoning or anything like that, or
Pardon me?
yeah, have you talked to anybody about zoning yet? Any zoning issues with this?
No, I think they've been through that in March.
So it's already been,
We
Yeah.
were approved for that.
Approved for that,
We didn't
okay.
know about this particular part of it, so
Yeah, they got a variance in March.
all right.
backing into it.
Well, what they usually do is when you bring a project to the township, they take the problem that you might have the most problem with and direct you there first.
Right, yeah,
which would
zoning.
be, and then you kind of filter through as you go, so. And we don't have anything to say about zoning anyhow, I was just curious. So, all right, anybody want to make a motion or any more comments?
No.
Actually, we have public comment. Any public comment for this? All of you public? Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to recommend a certificate of appropriateness.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 3 ayes, have it. So you're approved from us. And as I said earlier, that will go to the Board of Commissioners. And their meeting, they have one more this month, Ray? Okay. It'll be brought up before them at the next meeting, which I'm not sure what the schedule is. And they will actually bring it up as part of their itinerary and agree with us or not agree with us. And at that point, if they approve it, it's our part's through. And then you have all of your other things to do, building permits and whatever else. So
Can we apply for permits before that?
I don't think you can, right? Yeah. You have to have all of your other things in order, and the building permit is kind of, actually, this will be a grading permit and then a building permit, so. But you can talk to staff in the office and find out this, kind of how that would all lay out.
Okay.
So, thank you
I'll
for
do
coming in.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, next project is Harb 2012-11, 417 Woodland Avenue. Renovation of existing kitchen, new mudroom, and second floor bathroom addition, and expansion of current covered porch. Who would like to present?
Hi, good evening. Warren Clater from Warren Clater Architects.
Okay.
I'm just laying out the contextual information for you so that you have it. Starting on the larger scale, it's 417 Woodland Avenue. It's the area of development that was done by Wendell and Smith Builders, and the architect that was used for this residence in 1889 was William Price. And this is an image from circa 1895, this being the structure. And those two images there. The site plan, that's Woodland Avenue there, and the proposed work is in the rear of the house here. So oriented the same way that the site plan is. We have the first floor plan, the existing outline of the footprint of the architecture space is here. So we're renovating this kitchen space, and then we're adding on this proposed mudroom. We're extending the porch on the first floor in this area. So the roof line that is being extended in the existing pitch is along this area here. And then aligning with the 45-degree angle is the proposed second-floor bathroom. The elevations are shown as such. This is the side yard here. This is the extension of the existing roof line. So this is the existing, and this is the extension of it. We're matching all of the same siding. There is a multitude of window styles, divided light patterns, so we are actually, everything that we're doing is drawing from something that exists from the house. The rear elevation, you can see again on the hip, we're returning that. The hip is consistent with what you have architecturally on the house with an existing hip roof, and we're returning that porch back as we're wrapping it around the addition. So we're continuing the same architecture, feel, and flavor of the porch. And then on the other side, the only elevation on the right side that's impacted is the way that the porch extends past, and then the dormer consistent with the architecture of the house that is housing that second floor bathroom, which you can see here.
You have a photograph of that corner, which would
We
be
do,
helpful
yes.
to
Yep.
show. That'd be great.
And more contextually, there's a view of 417 Woodland from the street, another view from the street. These are the houses across the street. Again, another photograph of the front. The left side in the front. The rear side here and the left side. And then this is the rear elevation here. So the area of the addition is occurring in this corner on the back side. And this is probably the most helpful photograph. So we're extending this roof line, wrapping it around, and adding a dormer as per the plans on that side, and the porch is continuing the vocabulary and wrapping around. Here's another side view. So this is the roof line. And what we've done in the design is we've stepped back the second floor to respect the existing facade on the side that exists there.
No, I think that's one of those sensitive things that really makes, that whole design work. And I think that's kind of a forgotten space right there. So this is really an appropriate use, and certainly wraparound porches are all what Wayne's about.
Yeah.
And you're going to be using stone foundations and matching all of that, or is it
We're going to
piers
be
and
we're going to be matching the existing. This stone will remain that's there, and we're going to be using CMU block for all the new. Well, we're doing poured footings and CMU block for the foundation walls.
Okay, and that's again in the rear.
Yeah, and anything that's below will be lattice to match what you can see there in the picture.
Right.
And the balustrade and columns look like they're,
Yes, modern code requires that it be 36 inches tall, so we're going to have to meet modern building code requirements. And in discussions with the owner, because we're changing that, it's likely that we will be better safe than sorry and update these railings to that modern height, the code requirement. The look will be the same.
and it's, I think, a nice little detail in that, like a keyhole or space between the new addition, so you're keeping the variegated line.
Yeah, it's a very wonderful home where there's a lot of walls that are jogging in and out,
Right.
so we emulated that with our design.
It's a nice touch.
Thank you.
Do you have the larger plans or just the smaller ones with you?
I do. They're all the same scale, but they're also on 24 by 36, if you'd like
Okay.
to see
I
that.
didn't know if you could actually split out. You have an existing elevation on EX3.
I do.
And you have the proposed on A2. Is there any way to put them side by side?
Yes, I
Thank
will
you.
do that. Would you like to start with the right side elevation? Or you just wanted to see the rear?
Just the two rights, the existing right
Okay.
and the proposed right. If you can somehow bend them just so they can be next to each other. Perfect.
That's good.
You're right, it sort of looks like a forgotten corner of the house there.
Yeah, I'm wondering about that long roof elevation. I mean, that's something you see every now and then, but was that something you think was added and
This
Yeah.
is part of the original.
that's part of the original?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not hard.
I mean, I'm not a big fan of that shape, so I'm not sorry to see that go away. I think what you've put in there, really adds a lot better scale. It almost makes this side feel like a front of the house, it makes the front and the rear really talk to one another and.
Not that it's going away, it's just that we're building
Yeah,
something
you can't
in front of it.
see-
Yeah.
yeah.
It really is like the front of the house. It's
Yeah, that's where you enter every day, so. And the wraparound porch, again, as I recall, this has more side yard on that side than the other side, right? So that's a nice area to have a porch as well, so not only is it utility use, it's a nice use. And that's an eastern light. So matching materials,
That's correct.
synthetic columns, wooden columns, but just matching styles. You guys-
We are matching the styles. Wooden columns, when vented properly, work well. They're better used or they have a longer lifespan when you are using a rainforest wood, and in the building industry and the design industry, we're trying to be more responsible, and so there are some very good synthetic products that paint like wood and are you really can't tell until you start scratching them with a knife. So right now, we've not made a final decision on the columns. And if you mandate that they're wood, then we would
No, I
go
mean,
in that direction.
That wasn't what we generally kind of prefer to see, and this is not up for, a denial or an approval. It's just that, there are polystones or some kind of columns that they have a density to them, and they're
Yes.
structural,
Yes.
whereas, a piece of plastic around a steel column is not something we'd like to see.
This
nor
will
I know
not
you
be
wouldn't.
a FIPON
Yeah, I mean,
column that you can make an
Scratch.
indentation with your fingernail.
Yeah.
Correct.
In the windows, are they, have they all been replaced in the house yet, or are they?
A lot of them are the original double hungs with
Mm-hmm.
the old storm windows that you get out with your
Full-
ladder
the
and
full
hang.
view,
Yeah.
yeah.
So the new windows need to meet modern thermal regulations, so they'll be double insulated glass.
Okay. And is that a manufacturer that you've picked yet, or is that
Right now, we're pricing the Pella Architect series.
okay? Good. Anything else from you guys?
I think the plan, you've done a great job with keeping consistent with the historical aspects of this house, and not that it makes any difference, a lot of this you won't even be able to see from the road,
Right.
actually, but I think it's a great plan.
Yeah, I agree. I think you've done a great job in giving them space they need and utility and keeping them in scale.
Well,
With
I
everything that's
cannot
done.
take all the credit. The homeowners were very involved, and it made the job easy, so.
Good choices.
Yeah, well, that's great. Want to make anything else for you?
No more comments?
Okay.
That's all yours.
You start this.
I'd like to make a motion to recommend a certificate of appropriateness.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Marie has it. All right. You know the drill.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's a
Yeah,
great,
thanks a lot.
great project.
Thank you.
When do you start?
As soon as we get our permits. When do we start, Ray?
Where's that clip? All right, we have one more project. It's 219 Orchard Way, addition of a third garage and replace living space, living area. Could you introduce yourself and present?
Sure. Good evening. My name's Phil Ruggieri.
Please use the, I've got a handheld if you'd rather use that.
No, this is fine.
Okay.
I just have to get used to being over here.
And there, it'll bend and
Okay.
you can point with a pointer, but just make sure whatever you're talking about's kind of centered on whatever.
I'm going to try. I've never done this before. This is kind of interesting.
Well,
It's usually just
that's
an
I mean,
easel.
it's kind of
you know.
backwards when you're doing that too. So.
My name is Phil Ruggieri. I'm an architect in the state of Pennsylvania, and Sal Calabrese is my client, who has purchased and getting ready to renovate the home here at 219 Orchard Way.
Can you, I hate to interrupt you, can you start with the site plan and talk about that?
No, I don't have a site plan with me, unfortunately, but my understanding is that it was submitted.
It
We
looks
could-
like there's one that's existing, and maybe you can start with that. And tell us, I mean, I'm assuming that's existing, that's how I read it.
We did, yeah, we had a site plan that showed the actual proposed expansion. And as you can tell in the existing, from here, the right side, little notch up would be the garage area, which would go up another 20 feet about.
Sorry?
Yeah, the garage is on the right-hand side. That would move up about 20 feet on the survey. And then the living space, which is like basically a sun enclosure, will be taken down. There's an add-on, pretty poorly done. That's leaking right now. They'll come down and they'll put a new living space on there, which is another probably 6 or 8 feet farther into the survey. So it would cut actually into the patio area.
All right, I guess,
Do you have a copy of the demolition plan
Yeah.
that was submitted as well?
yeah, you can go through that. I knew this
Okay.
was an existing.
I think in order to make a tie-in here, the porch out on the left-hand side, if you look at the demolition plan, is that existing porch, which will actually be demolished and rebuilt in what we consider to be a better way, and we'll hope that you agree with us. In addition to that, there's that existing sunroom, which is kind of gobbled up here in the hatching of the somewhat of an L shape that's called house here. That as well is very low and just really not a good sunroom.
Oh, no, it's a leaking interior.
Leaky,
It's gotta
et
come
cetera.
off.
The garage, it's just, I mean, woefully inadequate. I mean, you just can't even hardly put a full-size car in the existing garage. So there are just certainly things about really this wonderful old house with, you know, the stone and all its majesty, but internally, when you're bringing a new family into it, closet space is minimal, and, you know, toilet fixtures are old and weary, so, you know, there's a lot of reasons for interior renovation, which ultimately pushes us into doing some exterior expansion to the home.
Could you put the elevation of this house up there as well for us to see? Do you have any other pictures of the house?
I gave you, I submitted several pictures of only the front is what I've given you.
Right, so there's
Yeah.
nothing
Have
from
anything on the
around.
side so we can get
No, I didn't.
idea what that looks like?
Other side.
Okay.
Basically, the back has a first floor stone around it. Second floor is a wood slat face. It's kind of shown on your drawings.
Yeah, the elevations that were presented, both in the elevations that we're calling existing building elevations, pretty much only, unfortunately, in 2 dimensions, not in a 3-dimensional photo, but it does pretty accurately describe the condition of the existing home. And it's a lot of stone. It's beautiful, beautiful old stone, of which our intention is to, as we develop the expansion to the home, we're going to match that stone. If I may, if I could just
Yep.
walk us through.
Keep going,
Okay.
I'm sorry. Yep.
There really are no proposed changes to the front. There are no proposed changes to the front facade of the house. That's pretty much, we are going to replace the windows. It's our intention to use assimilated divided light windows and the shutters. And the shutters are currently black, and I think we're going to put back black shutters.
Exactly.
Sal and his wife are okay with that. And we're going to leave the stone. So really, for the presentation to the street, historically really isn't changing very much. On the right side of the house, where the change will take place, is where we've created this side entrance off of the driveway, which is between the, it's a mudroom, if you will, between the kitchen and the new garage. A garage which is adequate to at least put three full-size cars in there now. And on the left side of the home, as you look at it facing, from standing in the street, to the left of the living room, that existing porch that was out there was going to be demoed and rebuilt. The little stick spindly columns that are out there right now that are not very adequate, we're going to put nice permacast, kind of colonial, if you will, columns that's demonstrated in our elevations.
Looks like you've got square columns now. Is that what's square, not straight columns?
We're
No?
proposing that they're square right now.
They are square. All right.
The new ones would be
And they would be-
square,
they would be?
permacast.
Okay.
You could see that in both the first floor plan demonstration of the columns.
Right.
Because what we're doing to the covered porch is we're now extending it further to the rear. There's a notch out there for a barbecue grill, an area back there, and as you move further to the rear, this wonderful landscaped patio with a low retaining wall and area to be enjoyed beyond the family room. The family room as well is a new addition. It's basically a two-story addition that from the upper level of the existing house that's being expanded, you can kind of overlook that family room as you walk beyond into the new master bedroom suite. Off the corner of the master bedroom suite is a balcony, kind of a private balcony, hopefully enjoyed in the morning, to go out there and sit and enjoy nature with a cup of coffee and so on.
Can I ask a question? I'm just having a hard time. Will you keep that page there for a second, please? Thanks. Figuring out what it looks like now compared to what it's going to look like when you're done. And unfortunately, we don't have pictures. Like in the garage, can you point in that garage to where the existing structure goes right now?
Yes. If you look at the first car there that's demonstrated.
Yes.
Okay. Just below that, you'll see some very lightly dashed lines.
Okay.
That is the exterior wall of the existing garage.
Okay, so what you're adding is basically the two-car garage to the back of it.
Yeah, two and some. Yeah,
And
two
change.
and change.
Okay, and then on the roof line, I guess look at the next page, A4. Actually go to go to A4 if you can.
Sure.
I guess it's the same thing. My question is that how high the roof is now?
The existing roof is right here.
Okay.
That's correct. Again, there's a notation up there that's a little dotted line. It shows to the left existing, pardon me, existing residence, and then to the right it says new addition. So those two roof lines will come together right there at the same plane.
Okay.
No, can I walk up there and point?
Yeah, 'cause it looks like there's a gap here or something. Is that a gap?
Oh, no, you're on, no, this is not a gap. This is all on the same plane, but because of these two roofs coming together here,
Yeah.
there's a, I guess you can call it, for lack of a better term, a chute that just kind of takes the water off of these two roofs and then moves it out to the face of the...
Sorry about the private conversation, but
Yeah. It's right there.
we're talking about A4, and if you can turn to that, you can see, it looks like there was a little gap there between the existing house and the, maybe this is just the drawing.
A4 is here. Yeah.
Okay, so your drawing's different than mine.
You can, I'm going to grab the mic.
Yeah.
Come up there.
Yeah. There you go. There you go.
Okay, if you can see, this all becomes one roof through here. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
And then see that little line right there? That's that chute that kind of works its way down into, because this is a long, low roof that reaches out.
sort of like a big shed.
Like a big shed,
Shed.
that's right. Low sloping, right, low sloping shed. That's got to move the water out between these two.
So our drawing has this, has no shingles in that.
No poching of the shingles,
Should look
yeah.
like a hole here or something.
Yeah, no.
So the existing house goes out how far on that picture? It goes out, is it right there?
The existing house?
Yeah.
Actually, the existing house is going to stop right here. This is all new now.
Why don't we go back to the table and put that on? We need to show everybody. If it's done backwards, I don't know. I'll get it. I got it. You guys keep going.
See, the one thing that may also be confusing is right here. This is an existing dormer
Right.
on the existing roof.
Oh, okay.
So you're really, in this elevation, you don't see the roof beyond there framing back into the main gable of the house.
Okay, but the existing house goes, from where your finger was, the existing house goes further to the left because there's an existing garage there now, right?
The existing house does, yes, sir.
Yeah.
That's
so
correct.
So what's the new part in that picture there? Where does the new part start?
Well, not really, because this is all new, because we're going to tear this
Well,
down.
as far as the existing space, like how far back does the house go now compared to what it's going to look like after you're done? Just on that picture, if you can take a guess as to where the existing garage, how far back it goes.
Probably about right here.
Uh-huh. Okay.
It might be helpful if you could take D3 and kind of fold it in such a way that the elevation that we're talking about proposed is underneath or next to it or something. And kind of line them up, and then everybody can get a sense of how much bigger
Yeah,
things are.
yeah.
That's great, thank you.
Now, unfortunately, there are different scales, so you have to kind of use your imagination. So here is the main body of the house. That's that little low sun room that's there now that's going to be torn off.
Okay.
This is the garage that's going to be torn off.
Got it.
This little piece right in here stays. You can see the height of this roof right here? See that line right there?
Yeah.
That's this line right here that we're matching now.
I see. Okay.
I think if you
In
probably,
this porch,
I'm sorry to interrupt you. I was just going to say to what I think clarifies for me is looking at the A2 new plan and compared to the D1 existing plan, even though we know we're demolishing some of it, because it kind of, it gets a good feel of they're both kind of L-shaped. The existing was like an L-shaped.
Right.
And what you're going to create is it's pretty close to that overall L shape, given the fact you're removing something but adding something.
that's correct.
So
Absolutely.
that's a good way to compare them.
It is. It's an excellent way. Yeah. And again, and generally, our materials are going to be wherever you see the poche of stone, we're going to match the stone that's on the existing home, and the other material that's dotted, we're proposing a stucco finish. There are lots of stucco homes in the area.
Is there existing stucco anywhere on the house now?
No.
And you said you had stone. Is there stone on all four sides of the main house?
There is, except
The first floor is the only full height?
on the garage elevation on D3, the right side elevation, that material above or on the face of the garage is wood.
Okay, so the kind of the addition piece on the back is a clapboard? Or is it a siding cedar or something, or above the garage
The
doors?
new or the existing?
On the existing?
Yeah, it's plank, right? It's wood siding, plank, horizontal. Right.
I mean, this is a typical kind of main house, put all the money into the stone finishes, and then when the addition goes off, it goes down a notch and goes to siding. And then you go down further from that to the outhouse and whatever and whatever. But, so this is a very typical colonial, kind of a neo-colonial kind of a arrangement.
Yeah.
And the massing of the piece that's off the back is lower and less massive than the main house. That's the typical thing. So what we're seeing is a piece, the addition is probably just as wide as the front of the house. If you look at the right side elevation, the new section is probably just as wide as the front of the existing house. And then the left-hand side, you're breaking that up with, porches and negative space and indents and things like that. So it's a little, that elevation is has more impact because it's flat. It's going back and forth. So it's a little less severe. But the right elevation is a very large, one big wall, with the exception of that overhang.
Yeah, well, that, again, understanding that and realizing that, we needed the garage space, we tried to diminish, I don't know what else you would call it, the freight train look, if you will, by putting in this two-story side entry element here that's stone. Kind of breaks up the, unfortunately, not seeing it in 3 dimensions, because we also have a standing seam metal roof that projects out on that side as well,
Okay.
that we like to think helps that whole side elevation, the right side elevation. And the garage doors, and they probably will be a stained wood of some sort. They may be darker. They may, again, the tendency would be to kind of break up that extended look there.
Are those windows on the clear story windows in the garage doors?
Yes,
Okay,
that's
good.
correct.
That breaks it up too.
Right.
So not to beat a dead horse, but on this picture then, if you're looking at that picture, the first garage, on the right side of the first garage door, move over to the right a little bit, right in the middle between the two doors, that's probably the existing end of the house right now.
Pretty close, that's correct.
That's what it seems like from
Yep.
putting all these things together. All right, well, that's helpful.
Well, actually, it's right there. Still on that side, not there.
It's right here. Yeah, that's not the existing house.
Yeah, that's not what I'm seeing.
Yeah,
Is it
no.
Two doors,
Yeah.
and that dotted line goes like that, and that goes like that. So
I know.
It's almost.
That's what you wanted to.
Extra.
Hard
It's
to
very
tell.
hard to tell. That's what it is.
Actually, you know what? I'm gonna retract that. I'm looking at it more closely now on the A2 plan.
Yeah.
Again, if you recall my reference to the dashed line
Yeah.
right on the driver's side of car number
I
one
see it
there.
now. Yeah, I was looking, I thought it was the next line over.
So that really, it's just into the first garage door where the existing home is currently.
Yeah, I see it. I see it.
Can I jump in and say one thing real quick? On the survey, if you notice, on the right-hand side is the driveway, macadam driveway. One of the difficulties we had, as Phil alluded to, was we have a difficult time parking any vehicles into the garage. Besides it only being from front to back enough to fit a sedan inside the garage, it's hard to turn at the radius. So what happened, what Phil designed for us was the three-car garage, but also the depth of the garage is now at almost 25 feet. So it helps us with the turning radiuses into the garage, which is why we had to go the length and the depth to make that work. Otherwise, the way it lays out now, we have a really hard time putting cars in the garage, almost impossible.
Yeah, the existing garage is really essentially unusable. I mean, you
Space.
really can't get a car in there.
And so the previous owners parked their cars out on the macadam and used that just for storage because they couldn't, they're elderly guy, he couldn't park his car in there. So.
I guess, there's a lot of things we can comment on, but there's information I don't feel like we have. Like, I'd really like to have a site plan that shows the massing that's new. And I'd really like to have pictures that go all the way around the house. I'm hearing what you're saying about how it's made. I can see in the demolition plans, what's going away, what's existing, but there's a lot of material things I can't tell. And just, I'd like to see it on the site. So I have a little bit of an issue with that.
Well, could we walk
And then
through
also would
anything?
like to get, there's some sort of clapboard into this thing. On the second floor or something, just to bring it back a little bit. Now, I'll back up a second and say, okay, this is a non-contributing property, according to the survey. Now, non-contributing just means that, they went around Wayne years ago and they said, this has historical significance
Right.
because of X, Y, and Z, and there are all these contributing things that go on.
Is it the date of this house? Do you know the date of this
Well-
house?
1935.
So it's a little post the significant period,
Yeah.
I think, of that district. I think that's why.
Okay.
So it doesn't, what that means is it doesn't have as much weight on some of the decision processes because of that.
Sure.
But you still have a fabric in the neighborhood that has certain size and scale footprints, and you have materials that are, combined with, you've given us a lot of pictures
Yeah,
of.
I did, if I jump in real quick, my neighbor at 217 put up a French provincial house. I don't know how that got allowed. It's completely stucco.
Yeah.
It's 100% stucco. It's not even part of the period. And my wife and I bought the property because we liked the colonial stone
Right.
look, we liked the mainline look. Our neighbor is a French provincial house. And
Yeah.
to be stopped for things as of what we're talking about now, discussing, is kind of behind where they're at.
Yeah, the rest of them are pretty consistent, though, I think.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's where we want to be, too. We like the dormers, we like the gables, we like the stone. We love the house, we like the we love the neighborhood. We haven't moved in yet for two reasons. One, we just had a daughter. And secondly, it's an 85-year-old house with needs plumbing, electrical, updating, and I just feel, we all feel, it's better to go in there and renovate the house before we move in. And that's why we came to the decision of putting in a real family room and also expanding the garage to actually adequately have cars covered in the house.
Yeah.
Which is why, and again, that house on 217 is completely, it's got not even macadam, it has this pea gravel on the driveway, just crazy too.
Yeah,
But-
especially in South Wayne, there's a lot of inconsistencies.
Yeah, and to see them and to see us, and then I didn't really think, it's my fault for not bringing extra pictures and stuff, not Phil's, to think that it wasn't really that heavily judged,
Well,
that street.
I think what I'm seeing here, I get a feel now for what the increased massing is going to be with this, and I am somewhat troubled by that. However, it appears just from the pictures and from the site plan, you're probably not going to see a lot of this from the road.
No, you don't see anything from the road, of course. Yeah, everything is hidden behind the front facade, covers the whole.
That's what it looks like.
Yes.
That's what it looks like.
I
My
think
my
that,
wife and I are very mindful of the neighborhood, how it looks, and I want to keep it to the original way as you pass by in a car. Behind the house is where the actual expansion happens and occurs. And it doesn't even stick out past either side of the sides of the house.
Right.
I think the massing isn't as extreme as it might have felt at the beginning, because I wasn't thinking of the sunroom. Like,
Right.
for some reason, it didn't pop out at me. So if you keep the sunroom in your mind as part of the existing footprint, it's being demolished but replaced. So it's the two-bay garage that's
Yeah, or two
extension.
and a half or so,
And
yeah.
the overall shape is still remaining the same, plus it's in the rear. So I kind of feel that's all pretty consistent.
Exactly, thank you. Yeah.
And you're sort of a corner-ish property, right?
No, we're almost dead middle. We are the third corner house in from Aberdeen.
219, oh, 219.
Yes,
I'm looking
219.
for- I'm sorry, yeah,
So
you're,
we're middle, and around us are four homes, all around us of the same style, except for the French provincial house, unfortunately. Well, it doesn't fit.
so your 231 neighbor, is that right up against you, or is that?
No, 231 is off our property line, is on the far end of his property. And then comes the house to Aberdeen.
I mean, if you were to say where 231 is here, is he right there, or is he on the other side?
He's more here, his driveway is here on this side.
Okay, so it's like this here.
Exactly.
Okay, gotcha, all right.
And again, another stone colonial house, in more tan stone. We're more dark gray, slate color.
And that's.
Another thing I could point out that might help a little bit, because I know you're troubled by not seeing the massing on the site plan, but if you look at the site plan, you can see that right-angled stone wall off the flagstone patio. Well, you can kind of see that on the floor plan on A2. Again, there's a series of dashed lines that kind of go right through the center of that big round picnic table.
Right.
That's the extent of that wall.
Yeah, so it's like a little, maybe this is the edge.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's.
Oh, okay.
It's really take, if you were to, the macadam that exists now, are you going to the end of that? Would you say?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. A
Okay.
little before that, we're going. Then the cannon right here.
Yes, that's pretty accurate.
There's a lot going on here too now. You know, this guy's way over here.
Setting is good for that.
And also, too, between the homes on 231 and us, there's a series of trees and hedgerows across there. That we don't, there's a lot of privacy between us. Unfortunately, between us and 217, there's no privacy. So,
217 here?
This side.
This side.
Yeah, we get to see that.
217 in here.
We have great neighbors, by the way. They're all nice people. We had,
Oh, 217 is the
Oh,
French.
That's the French, yeah.
that's the French, yeah.
Okay.
Not the French people, but the French stuff.
The French are here. Okay. Any other comments?
No? I don't really.
Anything from you?
I'm good.
I'm still troubled with not having information. I mean, I can see from this, you know, what it is, but,
Pardon me. What, can you be a little bit more specific
well,
about what your
you know,
biggest
usually
concern
we want a
is?
site plan that shows existing and proposed, so we can see what the massing is on site.
It didn't say it on the survey. I'll let you know on the
And,
application.
and then we like to have pictures all the way around the property. I mean, you've given us context, which
Yeah,
is wonderful. You know, we like that.
The application didn't have anything of that on the application. I would have definitely reported it if it was required. Believe me, I would never have taken the whole entire block of photographs if I didn't think it was, you know, relevant. I would have surely put my own house's photographs. Sorry about that.
Well, I mean, that's a misunderstanding, I guess, but that's the thing that I have a little bit of an issue with. But well, I don't know if you guys want to make a motion or,
If I had a scale, I could draw it for them right now.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to issue a certificate of appropriateness.
any seconds?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
I'm going to have to be the only dissenter, but you're still 2-1.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
And it's only because, I mean, I know what you're doing. I'm a little concerned with this one side that is very long and very straight, and it's kind of out of proportion to what, you know, would be normally this size house. So the rest of it, you know, the front of the house, same presentation to the neighborhood. Everything's great.
Yes.
The left side of the house, ins and outs, still has the L shape. All that stuff is great. The rear of the house, virtually the same, pretty much. And you know, I would talk about materials a little bit, but I think scale to me is it's a little large on that side. But anyhow, you've got your approval, and now it goes to the Board of Commissioners, and they will agree or disagree with us. And then if they agree, you have our official approval, and then you can go to the next level.
If they don't agree,
Well,
It's their call.
it's their call, but it's really usually when it's, and I can't say for sure, but usually when we agree on something, it's a go.
okay.
But
And
that's up to them to say. I can't tell you
I understand.
100%
Yeah.
that's what'll happen.
And I guess for our purposes, we'll look at the application once more in case it was
Yeah,
a
we'll
little
try to clear
vague.
that up.
Because we should have that clear.
I would appreciate
Yeah.
it. Yeah. I mean, I thank you all, and I'd love to move up here soon.
Good.
Yeah.
I live in Philadelphia now. I'd love to be up, and the daughter's getting ready to go to preschool, so
All right.
a lot of driving back and forth.
Welcome.
Welcome to the
And
neighborhood.
you better get this started.
I think, again,
My wife, obviously.
I don't want to beat a dead horse here, but in order to maybe help your concerns on that elevation, because I do appreciate what you're saying. Although, I mean, I designed it, I think it can work, but aren't we scheduled for some landscaping in
There,
this
yes, of course.
area right here?
Absolutely.
So unfortunately, we can't do a lot of landscaping on that side because it's all driveway.
Right.
But this stretch right through here, we can landscape pretty heavily, which maybe with some verticals and so on that can help, reduce the overall appearance of that extended, to the rear, and also from the street, help take your eye away from, kind of.
Yeah, the street I don't think is an issue at all.
I mean, in my heart, I believe it's going to be fine. I think it's going to look good.
In Phil's right, currently there's high
Can you-
landscape.
Sorry.
There's high landscape right now going up from the corner of the house to the door.
Right.
So when you come up through the driveway, you see both sides are full of greenery. And then you hit the door, and then the garages.
Gotcha.
So it's really, it's a nice house, it's a great house. Just needs to be updated.
Right.
And,
Good luck.
Thank you very
All
much.
right.
Appreciate
Thank you.
your comments.
Let's see, what do we have here? We've got any new business? Oh,
Sign on this time.
thank you. Thanks, guys.
Do someone in the audience?
Any audience participation in this project first?
Oh.
No. Any old business? No? Okay. Then we have any public comment on anything that would have to do with historical possible issues in Wayne?
I guess that's me.
Yes. Please introduce yourself and
Sure. Hi, I'm Sue Metzger. And I'm coming, I guess maybe this isn't the right place to be, but I just learned at the last zoning hearing board meeting that they're putting in a cell tower, or trying to get a variance to put in a cell tower at the firehouse. So currently at the firehouse, there's a lattice structure, and on the top of that lattice structure, and lattice kind of being transparent, is an antenna. And the objective is to replace that lattice structure with kind of a very traditional, I call it a cell tower, a monopole, and at the top of that monopole then will be kind of those triangular shaped antennas that you see, or what I call them rings, but it's really a triangle. And I guess just my concern from a design perspective is it's really going to alter the cityscape of Wayne. I don't know. I kind of always joke that I think the AT&T tower was my parents' generation's mistake, and I'm just so afraid that this is going to become my generation's mistake. And the reason why I say that is once that tower goes up, which now it'll be a solid pole, it won't be lattice, it won't be at all transparent, but also once it goes up, it will allow for co-location. So it won't be one ring, it'll be 5 rings over time. And I agree with co-location. If you're going to put up a pole, you might as well use it. But that's my fear. And my fear is it's right there. It's going to be right at the corner of Sulpizio Gym, the Radnor Middle School, and the firehouse. So it'll kind of loom over the Radnor Middle School. I just believe that there's got to be a better answer, right? That it doesn't have to be there. It's, if you read most of the literature, the objective in building these cell towers is to put them, in business, industrial districts. You try to keep them out of school zones, residential zones. It literally by inches, I'm not even sure if it's going to pass, just because it does not necessarily have the 200 feet that is required from a residential point of view. So we're not even sure it's going to necessarily pass that law. It's that close, let's put it that way. I mean, it's down to like inches. So anyhow, I'm just kind of stating my point of view because I don't know, one, if you are aware of this. 2, if you have any suggestions as to, bringing awareness, I think was really important. The reason why it didn't pass the last zoning hearing board meeting was because not all of the residents within the 500-foot radius had been communicated to about the zoning issue. So that's kind of why it got postponed to the end of June. So there is a zoning hearing board meeting coming up in June, and I am kind of focused on that. But I just think making people like yourselves really aware of decisions that are being made that are going to alter the design of downtown Wayne, I think is important. So that's why I'm here. I have a little picture if you want to see. Do you want me? I love this.
Well, we are, that's not something that we get into by ordinance. And maybe you can speak to that, George,
Yeah.
a little bit.
Well, I'm not sure it's in a district, first of all.
Well, I don't think
It's
it's
technically not.
It's
Technically
not.
not.
It's
It's
near,
not-
but not in.
It's not in the historic
But
it's
district.
near.
but we do like to hear about what's going on and
Okay.
to the extent we can add anything to the process.
Yeah, I mean,
Happy to.
it's, at this level, it's clearly a zoning issue, it sounds like.
Yep.
And, you know, if anybody is interested and wants to get involved in it, that's where they should go and talk about it and learn about it. And, you know, beyond that, you know, I don't know enough about what this thing does and what it's replacing to say, you know, don't do it, yes, do it,
Right.
you know, and I can't because it's not part of our deal, but
Right.
I think if people learn and go to the zoning hearing, they can have their say there and get it out in that way. We would, of course, like to see probably nothing like it here, but, you know, who knows? I don't know.
Just add
And-
some of
and-
those tree branches to it.
Yeah, right.
Do you want the tree branches?
Oh, I was going to
No
say,
comment.
in other situations like what you're describing
Right.
in my job, I often look at areas, whether they're historic districts or not, to see whether any historic resources will be affected by something like this, and it's usually view sheds, which you know, the view of the area, because the actual building, and let's say building it's going to be attached to is historic, which is another story, but how it might affect the view shed is another way we might look at historic neighborhoods effect.
Okay.
I know there's an existing something there already, which is, in a sense, to the advantage of something, like you said, why not put them where they already are? But if this
Right.
has a much different feel, I guess that's something you might want to think about.
Something we can, so the view
Or
shed.
like you said, are there other options to locate it somewhere? Not to say don't do this, but is there a different place? I mean,
Right, right.
Good.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that, you know, there's a cost to doing this, and I think the cost really is to the design of downtown. So that's my, you know, is the benefit or the need
right.
more important than that? And it very well may be. I just need, you know, I need us to have that
want the
conversation
whole
to decide
picture.
that that's right. So that's kind of where I stand.
Well, it's good to hear
'Cause
about.
I'm not naive, but I also, you know, I also want to protect what
Right.
I do think we have now, and I love all the church steeples.
Exactly.
And it's like, okay, so now we're going to have a cell tower that rises above, you know, really you've got like 5 churches right in there. In
This-
that
this
hand,
also,
I can put my hand on the 5 churches,
Yeah.
and now I'm going to have a cell tower in the middle.
Does this go before a design review board or anything like that?
I was under the impression that once it passed zoning, then I think maybe there's a design review
So
board.
there's a couple of places to really plug in,
That-
I
that-
think.
That's a
And
good
unfortunately,
point.
we can mention it here, but we can't really
Oh.
have any. So I think that's,
That's a
you
good
know, if
point.
everybody can kind of keep their ear and eyes open for those 2 sorts of meetings, first the zoning, then,
And
and really, I think they need to learn about it, because I don't think everybody knows.
I think
Much
that's
about
my
it, so-
biggest shock is like, I think this is just kind of happening. And so, you know,
Well,
anyway,
thanks.
I can get the word out.
No, it's
so.
good
Well,
And,
thank
and
you.
I'm approaching different ways. Thank you.
Well,
Thank you
for
very
bringing
much.
it to our attention.
All right, any other business for everybody? I think we will make a motion to adjourn. A second? Okay, we're done.